Hello, my name's Clive from Coromandel Benchtops. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to measure up an existing bench top so that we can give you an accurate estimate of what it would cost to either replace your existing bench top or to do a granite overlay over the top. Right, the things you'll need to do this is a tape measure, a pen and a piece of paper. And what we talk about in the trade is we talk about in terms of shapes, either an L shape, a U shape or an island kitchen. So just take a step back for a second and have a look at what shapes you've got going on in your kitchen. This one here has a U shape, as you can see. Over on the other side there we have an L-shaped kitchen. So I'm going to draw my bit of paper first, a U and an L. Okay, so I've drawn my U and L shape, and now we're going to collect a couple of measurements. Alright, the first one is we'd like to measure the width of the existing bench top. So I'm going to hook my tape measure on there. That's 620. So I jot down 620. Along here, that's 590. Along here, 590. That's 590, and that is also 590. So just jot down those measurements. Okay, the next thing to do is to measure the back side of the U, or as I'll show you now, basically collect the measurements of each length. So we've got 1470 there. So jot that down. Now it can be a little bit tricky sometimes measuring in between two walls, which we're about to do now. But as we've spoken about, it is an estimate, so just do your best. Okay, and we're gonna read that as 3 meters 870 mils. 3 meters 870 mils. So I'll write that down along the back. Measure along this existing bench. We've got 1100. And then our other L section through here. $1,300. And a meter. Collected those measurements. The next thing to do is to identify which parts of your bench are actually connected to a wall. So this back edge along here is butts into a wall, so that's what we would say is not a seam edge because the outside wall covers it. All these edges along here are obviously what we'd call a seam edge. Alright, so I'm just going to mark wall where the walls are. When you have a situation where the bench top may come up against the cupboard, we have a small section here where the back of the bench comes up against the cupboard, you can just jot down cupboard or wall if you wish. Alright? Now, then we just mark the seam edges. You can usually we just mark this with a small X or a circle, just to note that those are the seam edges. On this particular bench, we've got seam edge, right along here, seam edge. This is a seam edge also in between an appliance. I think these particular homeowners are going to get a wider oven, and that's why they've had their bench like this. So, but that is still the seam edge if you have a freestanding oven there. Seam edge through there. So just mark those with a small X or a circle so that we know that they will be seam edges. Alright, so once we've done that, making good progress, we talk about cutouts in your existing bench top. So a sink is a cutout. A hob is also a cutout. What we'll do is we'll take a couple of these basic measurements of the sink, but what we're talking about here also applies if you have a hob. It's the same principles. Okay, so the first thing is I'm just going to hook my tape measure over the overall length of the sink. And this one here is 950. Now, it doesn't need to be absolutely a perfect drawing, but if you draw on your plan for us roughly where your existing sink is, so I'm just going to draw a bit of a sink there, then inside the sink I'm just going to write 950 and I'm going to measure the width of the sink, which is 470. Right, so those, now we've got some measurements down on the paper, and a couple of small things that will also help us is if you can measure the thickness of your existing bench top. So how to get the thickness of your existing bench top is simply you measure along that seam edge. Now this particular one is 40 mils. Alright, so I'm just going to make a note on the side of the plan here, 40 mils thick. Okay, now if you have a bull nose on your edge, it can sometimes be a little bit tricky to measure that because the bench top comes around. Once again, if you just get an estimate, that will help us. I hope that's helped you today so that we can give you an accurate estimate of your bench top and transform the look of your whole kitchen.